Hey guys, it's me, Ceciline, back with another video. So today is Hidden Figures Day, and I'm super excited about today's hidden figure. I know I say that every time, but I really am always excited. But I really am excited for this one too, that I heard about via the National Museum of African American History and Culture Instagram feed. And I feel like I say this all the time, but if you have Instagram and you are not following their feed, you should definitely follow them because it's just full of just really cool facts and information and just like really dope shit about like Black Americans. So if you're not following them, I highly recommend it. Today's hidden figure is Ruth Ellis, who was born, if you Google Ruth Ellis, a white lady that like killed somebody in Britain will pop up. You have to put in like Ruth Ellis activist or Ruth Ellis Black woman, something along those lines, because otherwise you will be like, who is this white person? Like, make sure you like do it. I am obviously gonna have links in the description box that I highly recommend everyone checks out. But if you want to Google for yourself, because when I looked her up, I was like, who the fuck is this? So just so y'all know, Ruth Ellis, born 1899 and died 2000, was a LGBT rights activist known to host social gatherings in her home for Black LGBT people to safely meet. During the 1930s and 1940s, not many spaces existed for this purpose. At 100 years old, Ellis was recognized as the oldest surviving open lesbian and LGBT rights activist. Ellis moved to Detroit in the 1930s with her longtime partner, Ceciline "Babe" Franklin, and started a printing business, which I'm going to get into a little bit more in depth. She became the first woman in Michigan to own and operate a printing company, and their home was also a refuge for the African American LGBT community, locally and nationally. In 2000, she helped dedicate the Ruth Ellis Center for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered youth in Detroit. The city of Detroit recognizes her contributions by celebrating Ruth Ellis Day in February during Black History Month. Ellis was born in Springfield, Illinois on July 23, 1899, to Charlie Ellis and Carrie Farrow Ellis. She was the youngest of 4 children in the family and the only daughter. Her parents were born during the last years of slavery in Tennessee, and Ellis's mother died when she was a teen. She came out as a lesbian around 1915 and graduated from Springfield High School in 1919, at a time when fewer than 7% of African Americans graduated from secondary school. In the 1920s, she met the only woman that she ever lived with, Babe Franklin, and although she was nearly 10 years older than Babe and hesitant to enter into a relationship with her, they moved together to Detroit, Michigan in 1937, where Ellis became the first American woman to own a printing business in that city. As I've talked about before, several of the firsts for American women have been Black American women specifically. She made a living printing stationery, flyers, and posters out of her house. Ellis and Franklin's house was also known in the African American community as the Gay Spot, and it was a central location for gay and lesbian parties, and also served as a refuge for African American gays and lesbians. Although Ellis and Franklin eventually separated, they were together for more than 30 years, and Franklin died in 1973. Throughout her life, Ellis was an advocate of the rights of gays and lesbians and of Black Americans. She died in her sleep at her home on October 5th, 2000, at the age of 101. The Ruth Ellis Center, a Detroit area social services agency that serves the needs of runaway, homeless, and at-risk lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth, honors the life and work of Ruth Ellis and is one of only 4 agencies in the United States dedicated to homeless LGBT youth and young adults. Among their services are a licensed foster care home, drop-in center, street outreach program, transitional living programs, and emergency housing shelter. The center is named after Ellis in honor of her allowing her home to serve as a refuge for Black American gays and lesbians as early as the 1930s. In 2013, she was inducted into the Legacy Walk, an outdoor public display which celebrates LGBT history and people. And I'm going to read you guys an excerpt from a really good article that will, of course, be linked in the description box. I'm going to go ahead and link this article first, so it will be the top link when you go in the description box and scroll down and look at the links. When she came out around 1915, there was no one to teach her what it meant to be a woman, and certainly there were no lesbian role models in her life. They wouldn't tell me nothing, she said. Nobody, and this piece was written when she was still alive, so it has direct quotes, obviously. "They wouldn't tell me nothing," she said. "Nobody would tell me anything. Once my dad brought me a book. It told about women, different parts of their body, and all like that. He didn't tell me he'd bought the book. He just laid it on his desk. He knew I'd be meddlesome and look in to read it. When he thought I'd seen enough of it, why, the book disappeared. So that's how I learned about sex." Ellis's father, born into slavery, was a self-educated man, and he became the first African American mail carrier in the state of Illinois. Ellis claims, though, that she was a slow learner. "I couldn't grasp things as quick as the other kids could. I'm not a reader, but my father had some nice books in his case. United States history, Caesar." One tactic she used for her Latin lessons was to sneak her father's book on the Roman Empire to crib the completed translations. Another tactic which served her well is a willingness to question. "If I don't know something, I ask," she says. "I ask somebody who knows." Ruth Ellis, a hidden figure. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. A lot has been going on. There most likely will be another video coming today after this one or before this one, so stay tuned for that. Of course, like I already said, there will be links in the description box. And food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.